Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. Today, we're covering Belle Collective. This is Season 7, Episode 5. I do appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video in support of me. You can share it. Also, you can subscribe if you are new to this channel, and you can leave me a comment or 2, 3, or 4 in the description below. Let's get into this week's episode. Okay, so it's a continuation from last week where it looked like Letitia and Latrice are at an impasse and there is no going back, But there's been some crying on both sides. Latrice cries first and then the other one follows after, which I felt like it was just a power play. But anyways, the therapist was like, look, you don't think that there's anything that you got? Well, she asked, there's nothing that you could work on. There's nothing that you can get past. Is there anything worth saving? Latrice was like, really no, because I really don't know who I'm really dealing with, because I thought that this person was the person but I'm finding out that she's not the person that I thought that she was. And I'm just not seeing that things could ever go back to the way that they were. Letitia says, because the therapist asked, what about you guys have your own conversation by yourself, and you guys say things to lay some things to rest, to never talk about it anymore. Letitia says that she's open for that. End of Carrie therapy, or whatever you want to call it, or Carrie therapy, and back to Jackson. But before we get there, we're over in Mobile, because yet again Carrie and Matt need to talk about this group that they just got in and now taking on their problems. We've been here for 3 episodes, I think, straight. They've been talking about Letitia, just themselves. 3 or 4 episodes. It's like, yeah, Carrie, y'all are too new. And it's cool that you want to get in the mud, but you just don't know what has really been going on here. And that's why Selena, Tamara, and Marie had their own choice words towards Carrie. And all this time, you're trying to get these people together. Anyways. Carrie is working on some content that she's going to post online to promote for the Mobile, Alabama location. It's going to be a winter drink. Matt joins her, and she says that, I got to strategize with Brittany as to see what's going to happen with this restaurant, because things aren't really moving like they should. And of course, I already talked about the whole Latrice and Letitia thing. Matt also brings up that he wants to go into his own business, basically quitting whatever job he has now and doing his own thing. Carrie is apprehensive, and it just felt like from the scene that she wasn't supportive. She says in her confessional, is it time to really do that? Well, what is it? Because you say that I support him fully, but it just was given the signal, like, it felt, not saying that it really was, but it felt like you were a hater. Like, I would love if you would have gone into specifics so I could understand you as to why you think this is the wrong time. Is it because you're about to close down the Mobile location? I would love that. But he's ready to bet on himself. They talk about the risk. They talk about all of that, because she's like, oh. But he's solid in what he wants to do. Could something fail? Yes. It's like, well, look at my restaurant. It's failing. Yeah, that happened to you. That'll mean it's got to happen to me, and you have 2 other successful restaurants that are still standing and operating. Yeah, so it was kind of like you wanted to talk him out of his dreams, even though you just say it's bad timing. But y'all let me know what you thought about that scene. Cliff and Latrice. Latrice goes to the doctors along with Cliff. On top of the blood clots, while they were doing all of that, checking her body and all that, her fibroids have come back. And it looks like whatever the doctor said, they said basically they're going to get her well and she'll be okay. I think, in that doctor's office, Latrice talks about the therapist saying that her and Letitia needs to just talk one-on-one. Cliff said, yeah, let's do that. And you be the bigger person. Now, all of a sudden, I don't know what happened to Cliff, but Cliff is a totally different person than what we've seen in the last 5-6 seasons. One, we can hear him clearly, and we weren't even hearing him clearly. Did y'all turn his mic up or something? I mean, I ain't never seen him supportive of his wife, of anything. I don't know. Did they do some type of vow renewal themselves that we don't know about? Because Cliff seems different. I ain't trusting it because it's been 6-7 years. And then we know old folks don't change for nothing. It takes the power of God to move folks, especially at a particular age. Yeah, he tells her to be the better person. Letitia has her photo shoot. First, she's getting ready and all that good stuff. Shantae gonna be there. She tells, I don't know who it was. I think it was the one that's the investor, about the conversation that she had with Glenn. I don't know why you did that. I really don't know why you did that. However, at least he wasn't caught off guard when stuff goes left a little bit later in the episode. Shantae comes. They talk about this whole Latrice thing. Shantae says, well, I think that some people get encouraged by an audience, and I think alone they'll be able to be more genuine. You have a lot of thoughts and opinions on people, Shantae. That's all I gotta say. The photo shoot starts, and then Glenn walks in. He wasn't invited. However, he says that him and Letitia, they share locations. And you decided to be a stalker all over again, like we saw in season 3. None of that stuff's scary to y'all. Like, I don't even care if they've been married, have been around each other, they high school sweethearts. But why in the world you gotta... It's cool to have a location, but it's almost like you didn't know... You knew that there was a photo shoot, but I guess you didn't know the location, but you followed her. That is crazy. And I don't understand that wasn't a red flag for Letitia. So they take a break and all that good stuff, and then he starts running his mouth to Letitia and trying to figure out what in the world is going on. Why is he here? Talking about the investor. He got to show you how to shoot, how to take pictures. Why is he here? And Letitia's like, no, that's not it. Why are you doing this? Why? I don't know. Letitia this season has been quite different. I don't know if she's working on herself or not. But it's just like this damsel in distress, like you don't know how to handle your own husband. Things get a little bit crazy. The manager comes over. And at this point, Glendale ends up saying, oh, well, I need to be included on all emails and all this stuff that's going on. In his confessional, he says that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as Letitia's husband. Because when things go wrong, Letitia's going to be looking to me. For what, Negro? You don't know anything about business administration. You know about DMs. That's as much as you know. You don't know anything about emails. The investor comes over, I think. Whichever one. Ends up saying something to him, to Glendale. And then that sets things off to where Glendale just is in fight mode. I'll express how I feel about the manager or investor jumping in, all of that. I would feel some type of way. However, I probably wouldn't handle it the way that it went. But anyways, so then at this point, after there was going to be some type of fight or whatever, Letitia's up in the corner. And Shantae, don't you see her? Don't you see her? The reason I'm acting this way because I don't believe nothing about this scene. I really feel like everything is just so... It's such a play. I just think everything's fake that comes from them. Why would you come and be rude the way that you are? You could have spoken in a totally different way and politely. You could have set up something. You could have came to one of their meetings that they had. But you decided to disrupt. I mean, a photo shoot costs, sir. They were on a break, but then you decide to mess it up right then and there. And she's trying to fan it off not to cry because she knows that she will. But why are you doing this? So they get outside. Of course, Glenn is still talking his ish to the dude. Dude got his stuff to say too. Glenn goes to charge at the dude, and the dude didn't even flinch. You did all that for what? Some people think that the manager or investor was disrespectful. I think he was disrespected first. But hey, we'll talk about that soon, because I'm gonna group it all together to what Latrice says later on. Because no, ma'am, no. But they break it up before he does. Well, he wasn't. They weren't gonna fight because he couldn't even get near him, and the dude still didn't flinch. Then Letitia says, well, this cannot, she goes in her confessional saying, this cannot happen within the empire that I'm building. And from this day forth, I'm going to have boundaries. That's what you set up when you first start out, ma'am. What do you mean you need boundaries now? Anybody could be disrespectful, and it don't even have to be Glendale. What are the bylaws that you have for your company? What are the mandates? What is the culture of the enterprise? What is it in your empire? What is it? You and your husband have done things together where he has been disrespectful. And I think the first thing you should have done is turn him around. It's just like you're helpless. You just can't do anything with this man that you've been around for at least 20 years. You know, oh my God, please don't do this. Don't embarrass me. Don't. So you need all these boundaries and stuff. All I can tell you is this, Letitia.
The snake calling that you're calling? The snake is your man.
Your man is the snake. He does not want to see you prosper. He don't. Because I remember last season, before Enterprise was doing anything, or still doing stuff, they was at that building. He wanted you to be the one to dispatch to get him different bookings for the truck business. And you was just gonna be there as the submissive wife as you could be. Give him massages. And he does nothing for you but give you his D and his money. Your man is the snake. That's all I gotta say. Let's move on, because I'm bored. I guess in scene for the actors. Marie, she's opening up her 9th building for her service location for her business. Selena comes by to join her. I believe Selena's going to help her decorate and all that good stuff, blah, 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 blah. They're asking, where's Carrie at? Not here. She don't even live in Jackson. But y'all were so mad at Akeisha because she would fly in and stay to film with y'all and just leave afterwards. I mean, it's not good, but it's not the worst thing in the world either, in my opinion. But anyways, they basically said, look, we told Carrie that this wasn't gonna work, da 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 da. Y'all sitting up here just meddling in business that has nothing to do with you. It's not Carrie's business to manage it. Of course not. They talk about Mike and Selena and working on the wedding and all that good stuff. Are they going to get a house? Selena says, and she said this before, that, you know, Mike still has his house. I have mine, but he's practically over there all the time at my house anyway. So Marie was like, well, what are you going to do about the houses? Like, at least with his house. Well, he said that he's going to rent it out. Marie says that he needs to get rid of it. That bachelor pad, there's going to be a temptation for him to go run off and do something. I know that from personal experience. Selena in her confessional was like, Marie, it sounds like you are projecting the stuff that's on me. I think two things can be true at once, Selena. I don't know anything about Mike and all that, and you probably are, and I'm sure you are secure in your relationship and all that. Two things could be true. 1 foot out, 1 foot in, is my opinion as to how Mike could be acting, and anyone in that type of circumstance and situation. So just be careful. Now, if you can trust him, trust him. And I'm happy for you. But it's hard because last season you were describing him as someone who moves single. So, and he's got a truck driver job. I shouldn't put them under the stereotype, but normally a lot of truck drivers are 304s, just to let you know. But if you trust them, trust them. I don't know them like that. And that was it for their scene. But I will say this, it sounds like, Selena, that the group's about to set you up to be the next Tamara. Just saying. Latrice comes and visits Selena at her shop. It's called Sheeked Out. I thought that was pretty cool. She handcrafts jewelry and she sells it. She's a one-man army and she prefers it that way because she's quite meticulous in how she wants things done, and she ain't got time for nobody doing what they ain't supposed to be doing. Which is cool. It just depends on how big you want to grow your company. Of course, Latrice said, look, I gotta have an army to try to help me, da-da-da-da-da. And that's cool. Your business is booming in a different way than Selena. Maybe as it grows, she may do something else. Who knows? They talk about Tamara and her dad. I don't know. I don't remember the status. I don't think that they heard from her. I don't remember. And maybe y'all did, and let me know. I just don't remember. But what I kept in my mind is Selena began to talk about that she had a stroke before. And she had lost her mobility and her ability to talk and all that. Her girls helped her out. I was like, good, you finally mentioned your girls, because it's like, when are we going to see them? When are we going to see what goes on in your life, Selena? Because we've been so stuck on the 2 force multipliers. They also talked about when Selena had the car accident. Remember, was it last season or the season before, where Latrice had said, oh, she couldn't come to my event because she did have a car wreck and all that stuff? That was what she's talking about. So out of that, she had a seizure. But from time to time, she gets... But from time to time, she gets triggered. Things that trigger it is from extreme stress or no rest. And a lot of times she has trained or taught Mike to help, in response to helping her. And he knows what to do. I think it was to get her some juice or whatnot. The only thing I can think about is there's a movie from the 80s with Sally Fields, Julia Roberts, all them folks. Shirley MacLaine. Oh my God. It's in my mind. It's in my mind. It's a classic movie. Dolly Parton's in it. Lord. Steel Magnolias. That's my movie. I love that movie. It's a classic. But I don't think it was from a seizure. I think that she had diabetes. But Julia Roberts' character had diabetes, and she would all of a sudden get little triggers where her blood sugar is way too low. I just kind of thought of that when they were talking about that. But from this conversation, Latrice says that life is too short and all that, and possibly I should have this talk with Leticia so that we could possibly move this group along and us along. Okay. Back in Mobile, Carrie and Brittany, they are going to have a meeting. Carrie lets us know like something's got to give as far as this restaurant, because I'm using my influencer money to even keep things going with the Mobile office. It's good to have that extra money back there, but it's just like, it's not profiting at this point. Basically, Brittany's advice is, look, we're going to have to shut this place down. We need to sell it, or at least close it. And we got to get something rather than just nothing right now. Carrie's objection to it is that she just doesn't want to let the people down. And I get all that. If it's not working, it's not working. And there's no sense in beating a dead horse if it's not really working at this point. You tried and that thing didn't work out, but you tried. And a lot of people sit on their dreams. And some people are halfway doing stuff. But you put your heart and soul into it, and I think that you should really pat yourself on your back, because you did have the courage to step out there to do something that was not the success that you wanted. But I think that you are successful, and I think that whatever you come up with next will be great. All right, so Latrice and Leticia, they sit down. There's a total different energy. They're pleasant to each other. Fast forward. Letitia finally admits, with what happened with Mandy, it was triggering. She said that she don't really fault Latrice at this point. It was just triggering to her, and right now she's suffering through her marriage. As we all thought about last season, this is what was going on. And she was just projecting. But both of them came as a unit to try to do what they always do, is to gang up on Latrice. They're open to trying. They don't think it'll ever be like it was before, but we got to try. We got to move on for this collective and da-da-da-da-da. And they decided to make this pact of both of them saying one thing that they're going to put on the table right here and leave it there and never mention again. Letitia says, okay, what you can't mention again is that I've contacted your employees. She said that she never did and never had. I don't know how that this even became a thing. Latrice said, okay, the thing I don't want you to mention, Letitia, is the Mandy situation. She said, cool, done. I just find it interesting. So we wasted a whole season, a season, maybe a half. Y'all, like, y'all. Okay, y'all. I just find it interesting that the two things that they got to lay down that they can't talk about are the things that have just really held up this group. And y'all can just let it go. Okay. But y'all trying. But basically they're trying to, so that they can move on with this group. From that perspective, I understand. Because y'all held this cast up for hostage. Or in hostage. Whatever you want to call it. It just was not well, y'all. So they're moving on. Personally, I would never move on. But hey, I hope Letitia tells the whole group as to what she and Glenn were doing as far as flew out line and blaming somebody for her own ish that's going on in her marriage. Or at least it was a trigger. I don't even know if Glenn knows that she should. But I don't even know if that's a part of their script. Maybe she's got to add it to the script for their next scene. Anyways, congratulations, happy birthday to you both. That's the end of the episode. Now let me know what y'all thought. It seemed like let's make up for these cameras so that we can move on with the show. That's what I think. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Like, comment, subscribe, and until the next one, peace.